afternoon boba coffee series. Grab a drink and join us today. So just wanted to finish this video. In the last video I talked a lot about more of the theories about why it's amazing to grow up mixed race and the historical background and different types of like discriminatory policies that were in place. But now I'd like to talk about more why it impacted me in a positive and also negative way. Mostly positive. I'm a very glass half full kind of person who's very positive in general. So overall, it was a phenomenal experience to grow up mixed, and I'm really, really grateful for the experience, and I guess happy that my parents had me and were willing and able to get married and didn't face any discrimination from their families in order to get married, even though they're from very different cultures. My mother is Japanese, my father is American, and comes from Eastern Europe. So I think some of the major disadvantages of growing up mixed race are, number one, I naturally stood out. People were very curious to learn more about me just by the nature of my face, or I don't know, what I look like. And so, you know, that superficial kind of appearance, which really helped to try and, I don't know, start conversations and really break the ice and try to get to know people on a different level. I think the other advantage was that the second advantage was that I really had the best of both worlds or multiple worlds if you're mixed in with multiple ethnicities. But I was really able to pick and choose. Like, I really like this part of the Japanese culture, or the Asian culture in general, and so let's incorporate that into my personality, my well-being, my humanity, and I also really like this about the Caucasian side of being they're more like risk takers. They're not perfectionists. Japanese tend to be more perfectionists. So that's just one example of taking what I really appreciate of like shipping things quickly and getting things done versus being a perfectionist. So I think that was a huge advantage growing up, and I'm really grateful for both of my parents and that experience. And then I think the third one was that there's no one like me. I think fundamentally all human beings are unique and incredible and have a unique mission to fulfill, but like ultimately there's absolutely no one on this planet who is exactly like me in terms of the genetic makeup, and everyone can say that too, right, fundamentally. But I really liked being Japanese, Korean, and a lot of Northern European Northern European ethnicities, and even Ashkenazi Jew too. So I have a lot of like interesting cultural makeup and a lot of different cultural aspects that I can pick up from and really incorporate into my being. So I think those were the three main advantages, and obviously there's many, many more, but I think some of the disadvantages and some of the challenges of growing up mixed race are that you never really feel like you're one or the other, right? You never feel like fully Asian or fully white. And so, for example, like even in my immediate family, my extended family, I was literally the only person who is mixed race on both sides. All the family members in Japan, I had like 100 second cousins. None of them are mixed race. Some of them had the fortune to live abroad and try that experience, but they were married to Japanese people or chose not to get married, or whatever the case is. Same with the white side. They're really, really open-minded. They're wonderful intellectual people too as well, but they still just weren't as exposed, lived in varying parts of the US, and most people generally got married to, I mean, we had some diversity with like religion and other, like Buddhism, there's Buddhists, there's Jewish people, there's Christians and Catholics in the family. So there's religious diversity and other types of diversity, but not necessarily ethnic diversity. And so, that was kind of interesting to learn that about myself. I was the only one in the, immediate and extended family who was mixed race. Which I think is kind of a disadvantage because I would have rather had more people who were mixed in my family. But the other disadvantage is that I realized pretty early on that I could never have a child that is 100% of anything. So for example, I think, we all know about the historical history in America of having 1/8 drop rule. So if you were 1/8 African American, you were considered black, which is absolutely unfair, and there's a lot of institutionalized racism and a lot of discriminatory policies that were based off of that, and just a lot of things that have had ramifications up until this day, and that's why we had Black Lives Matter a year ago. But ultimately there's still so many challenges and so many things that we need to address as an American culture, but race is also such a big thing when it really shouldn't be. But growing up mixed race and having that experience of being multiple ethnicities and realizing that I could not have a person who is 100% Asian or 100% white or whatever else was kind of interesting for me. It was like, it was a light bulb that went off in my head, and I was like, oh, well, that's pretty interesting that I will never ever have like a person who is full white or full Japanese or something. So I decided to marry somebody who's Chinese, and then they could be more mixed and more ethnically diverse, which is what I wanted. So anyways, long story short, I think fundamentally there's many advantages, and the advantages outweigh the negatives, and more people in the San Francisco Bay Area are marrying across culture, across backgrounds, across socioeconomic incomes, everything, right? And so there's more diversity, and it's a growing population with the US Census. I think it was above 10% in the last census. And so it's just wonderful that the world is changing into a more positive way for me personally in my head, that if you're inherently two or more cultures, you have a lot more openness to other cultures, and you have a lot more exposure, right? So you're more willing and able to learn about other cultures because you are not fully anything, right? And then you also realize that race is like sort of it's superficial, it's not a reality. So anyways, and it's a man-made concept. But anyways, long story short, I really hope there are more mixed people in this world. And I'm really grateful for more and more young people who are marrying across the cultures and really open to different ethnicities. And I think San Francisco Bay Area has been a wonderful place to grow up, and just seeing so many diverse people and so many diverse backgrounds. So thank you so much. Please share in the comments if you'd like to hear anything more specifically about my experience of growing up mixed race, or if you'd like to hear about any other topics. I'm happy to discuss. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.